Picture therapy. What do you see? A couch, a therapist with a diary, couple of tissue boxes, a wall full of certificates. Well, that's the image that we have seen for over the years. Freud started it in 1890s, and ever since then we have been sitting on the couch. But guess what? That image is now outdated. The therapy that you know of today will be unrecognizable after 10 years, and that's actually not a bad thing. It's probably the revolution that we all needed. Let's rewind back to when therapy was not about feelings. In 1890s, people would lay down on the couch while a bearded man analyzed their dreams. It was only for the elite class and accessible to less than 1% of the population. Later in the year 1950s, for a mental health treatment, you were admitted to an asylum. Electroshock therapy. People did not have much awareness about mental health problems, but imagine the treatment was an asylum. It was only in the late 90s where people started with the CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and pretty much the same has been used till now. But again, it came with its own challenges: the time, the money, and the proximity of the clinic. While the environment and the needs rapidly changed, but we still stuck to what it was in the late 90s. The number one barrier: cost. One session of therapy costs you $100, and most of the insurance companies don't even cover it. Number two, the shortage of therapists. It's said that we only have one therapist available on 350 people who need therapy. Number three, despite so much progress in mental health area, almost 60% of the people don't even reach out for help. The fear of judgment, the feeling of being called broken, and whatnot. And last and the most important problem: one size fits all. The traditional therapy was designed for 1 hour session weekly. But the mental health breakdowns don't wait for Thursday 3 pm to happen. Meet Rohan, a 30 years old software engineer in rural Monata. Nearest therapist? 90 miles away. He tried teletherapy, but his work schedule made weekly appointments impossible. He needed help at 11 am when the panic attack hit, but that was not during the business hours. Rohan today represents millions. People who need help but can't access it in the today's system. Let's put this in perspective. In developed nations like US, there's one therapist available on 350 people, while in the developing countries, it could be 1 on 1 lakh people. That's not a shortage, that's an emergency. The World Health Organization calls it a treatment gap. In India, 80% people who need mental health care never receive it. In US, a much better economy, 60% of the people who need help, they never get it. It's not because they do not want to reach out for help, but the help available in today's market does not fit in their schedule. Meet Yash, a 27-year-old marketing executive living in Mumbai. He earns pretty well, reads about self-care, and still, every night at 2 am, he's scrolling through the mental health forums trying to make sense of his panic. He once booked a therapist, but had to cancel twice. Not because he lost interest, but because he couldn't make the 6 pm slot in between the traffic, deadline, and shame. His story isn't rare. Millions of people like him hover between awareness and action, knowing that they need help but paralyzed by the fear, cost, or logistics. And then there's the other side, the therapist side. Dr. Ravi in India sees 40 clients a week. Every night he reviews session notes until midnight. He's exhausted, empathetic, and burning out. It's not lack of compassion that breaks him, it's the volume, the scale. He's trying to heal a generation drowning in noise with tools designed for a quieter world. We call it a mental health crisis, but what it actually is a mental health mismatch. Too much needs, too few hands. Too much of speed, too little adaptability. This mismatch, the exact gap, this is what the technology is being asked to fill. Your Apple Watch tracks your heart rate today, tomorrow it might be your mental health. Wearables today are detecting patterns. It could be your heart rate, your movement, your voice, your sleep schedule, anything. AI will use this data to evaluate your mental health. It might come up and say, hey, your stress level looks high in the last 3 days. Let's check in. If today I'm not able to sleep in the night and my mind is spiraling, I do not have to text my therapist when they are asleep about my problem. Rather, I can talk to an AI who will respond, who will validate my feelings, and who will help. I finally would not have to wait for my therapist and my calendar to sink in order for me to put my thoughts out. Because my anxiety would definitely not know to walk in on Thursday 4 pm. Here's what people don't understand about the AI therapy. It learns faster than any human could ever. Roughly, a therapist takes around 30 sessions a week. In 10 years, it would be around 15,000 sessions. But at the same time, the AI can take millions of sessions in a day. Every conversation, every intervention, every outcome, it learns. Someone in the Tokyo discovers a technique that helps with social anxiety, and within hours, that insight is available to somebody in Canada. We've built a system that was meant to heal, but somehow it started leaving people behind. A 50-minute box on the calendar that's supposed to fix a 24 hours working mind, and when life doesn't fit the schedule, people stop showing up. Not because they don't want help, but because help doesn't fit in their schedule. It's ironic how we speak so much about mental health now, yet the gap between the awareness and access has never been wider. Today, when we talk about AI in mental health, let us discuss a real life example of Sarah. Sarah has started AI therapy for almost 6 months now. It noticed that every Sunday Now assume you want to set boundaries with that particular coworker. Your therapist will help you with the choice of words, the sentences you need to speak, etc. But the AI, it can literally act like the other coworker. Hi, I want to set boundaries with you.
Why are you being so sensitive? It was just a joke.
You finally have that real conversation. You've already lived it. AI isn't the future because it's better at everything. It's the future because it's accessible to everyone. The future isn't about replacing therapists. It's about augmenting them. AI handles the routine, the tracking, the 2 a.m. panic attacks, while human handles the deep work, the complex trauma, the stuff that requires a soul at the other end. So what does it mean if you're struggling right now? Today, we have many options available in the market. Self-help groups, traditional therapy, online therapy, apps, experiment until something finally fits. Tomorrow, the mental health care will find you. It will be affordable, accessible, and personalized to you. The stigma to therapy will finally fade out because therapy will look nothing like therapy. It will be as easy as checking on your phone, talking to a friend, or putting on a headset. We are moving from fixing what's broken to maintaining what works. Mental health will be just like physical health: preventive, normal, and routine. Here's the bottom line: your grandparents bottled it up, your parents sat on a couch, while you get to build something different. Therapy for you can be a AI chat at midnight, it can be a VR session to get over your fear of crowd, or it could be still the same, a person sitting across you. There is no right way to heal, only your way. The revolution isn't just the technology, it's the permission. The permission to seek help however you want, the permission to heal on your timeline or not on the system's timeline. So here's my challenge for you. If you have been putting off getting help because the traditional path did not fit you, then try something new. The tools are there, the barriers are getting off. You do not have to wait for therapy to look like therapy, you just need to start.